Hello, and welcome to Business Matters, the show about people behind businesses that help make Tacoma a great place to live and work. I'm your host, Mike Wark, and on today's show, we feature owners of a pottery business in Freight House Square. Andrew Fry answers the question, so you want to be an entrepreneur? And in the studio today is John Burkhardt, Director of Communications for the University of Washington, Tacoma, here to talk to us about the Veterans Incubator for Better Entrepreneurship, also known as the VIBE program. Welcome, John.
Thank you. Thank you. It's great to be here. And you said the word vibe,
Yes.
and that is actually a vibe that is created in the space where that program lives.
So you go in there and you can really feel that sense of entrepreneurship brewing there.
Yeah, it's absolutely the case. It's co-located with our Veterans and Military Resource Center, and the director, Thomas Koljam, is
Director of the VIBE.
He's director of the VIBE, and he sits there right at the front near the entrance and sees all the people coming in to learn about their military benefits, to study, to hang out. And so he's a very social person, and he's ready to connect with them and learn about their desires to become entrepreneurs.
Yeah, so people, vets and others, do come in to learn about entrepreneurship and what they need to do to pursue their dreams of building a business.
You know, part of the secret sauce of VIBE is that Thomas is really good at realizing that people have a business when they don't even realize it.
Right. So he starts talking to people about what they want to do and helps them realize they actually are entrepreneurs.
What happens is you find that veterans have some unique characteristics that makes them really suited to be entrepreneurs. And so that's part of what Thomas is doing, is helping them realize that and drawing that out of them.
And that is such a tendency. I mean, it's such a natural thing for veterans to apply themselves to entrepreneurship. That's why the VIBE was created.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting. So tell me, what are those characteristics that make veterans good business owners?
Well, I mean, it's the very characteristics that they gain by serving in the military.
Yeah.
It's things like learning to be really pragmatic. It's things like learning to be able to deal with working for long hours, slogging away in all kinds of conditions. It's so just characteristics like that make you really suited for entrepreneurship, because some of those same things can happen in the small business world.
Total commitment, getting things done, and like you say, you can imagine being out on a battlefield or trudging through a desert or serving on a Navy ship. You just do long hours doing what you have to do for your mission.
Yeah, exactly.
That applies really well to entrepreneurship.
Vets are really good at either focusing on the team or working as an individual, which often happens in the business world too.
And they're focused on the mission.
You tell a military person, or the idea is also an entrepreneur, what needs to be done, and they will get it done. You don't have to give them minute directions about how to do it.
There's lots of great examples, right?
In fact, one example that I have is someone who didn't even know he had a business, and it was Thomas that sort of coached him into realizing he had a business. This is a fellow who was in the Army, and he had some tough service. He had a traumatic brain injury, and he went through an explosion that actually ended up, he lost a limb in that explosion. And as a civilian, you know, his situation was that you've got this injury, you've got to take care of it. He was fitted with a prosthetic, but he found that regular commercial soaps that he would use to keep his body clean would irritate the flesh around where the amputation was. And he couldn't then wear the prosthetic. Well, you know, he was very intuitively thinking and innovatively thinking, I need to do something about this. I am going to learn everything I get about soap making, and I'm going to make my own soap that's going to work for me. And he did that. Told some friends about it, friends heard about it, people said, hey, I'd buy that from you if you had some. So he was selling it to folks, but you know, he still didn't think he had a business. Now, one of Thomas's little rules of thumb is, if you have a customer who's willing to pay, you've got a business.
Yeah, that's what a business is.
So this was it. And so he was telling this fellow, you've got a business, you just have to build a plan around it. Okay. So he did. And he submitted the plan in the annual VIBE business plan competition this year. And he won third prize.
Which provides money to help with the business?
Yes, absolutely. He gets prize money, and he gets coaching from subject matter experts in things like finance and legal issues and things like that.
And those experts are aligned by vibe according to the needs of the business person, the entrepreneur. So that's a great overview of sort of the cycle, the function of the vibe, how it works. Individuals get coaching, but there's also the business plan competition, which is a focus, right? An entrepreneur is all about building a business plan. And then you implement it, and that's how people judge and sort of give advice on what your business might look like. And so the business plan competition is not. Well, tell me about that. How does it work? I know this is the big annual event, right?
It's a big annual event. We actually took a hiatus during the pandemic, as a lot of things did, but we came back in full force this year, in 2023. So it's arranged in several stages. People submit their business plans. There's an initial screening round, and then the folks who survive that screening round, they take part in what's called the trade show round, where they come into one of our large spaces on campus and set up as if they're at a trade show.
A booth.
They set up a booth. And people from the campus community and from the public and also judges come through and look at all these booths and look at all these, they interview all these.
So the entrepreneurs, the business people give their pitch.
Yeah, they give their pitch, and everybody who is coming through the trade show round is given Vibe bucks. Like, little printed dollars or whatever. Everybody gets 500 Vibe bucks, and everybody gets to give their Vibe bucks to, they put them in boxes.
Their favorite business
of their favorite business plan. And then all those are added up at the end, and that's how it's decided who then goes on to the final round.
Oh, interesting.
Then the final round, which is held a couple weeks later, the finalists come together and they give 7-minute pitches to a panel of judges. So they have to be really polished, and they've taken the 2 weeks between, and they've practiced and practiced.
Right, and with some coaching, of course.
Yeah, and the judges have their business plans in front of them with all their financials and so forth. And then the judges go out and they review all this material, and they come back and they award. And in this case, we had first, second, and third prize winners, and we had something called the People's Choice Award.
Through this process, you're ready to go. And you get the advice that you need to actually start your business. That's an outcome. And a lot of those businesses are starting right here in Tacoma.
Absolutely. They're starting here in Tacoma. I mean, it's open to anyone to participate in the business plan competition.
Right. But there's this veteran aspect of it. How does that work? Isn't there a combination
of If you have a veteran on your team, you get a little bit of extra consideration in these various rounds of judging and so forth.
And so that exposes this veteran expertise to the community and other entrepreneurs. That's just wonderful. But it does make me want to ask you, why is UW Tacoma committed to the veteran community, and how does it fit in with their larger mission?
We are what we call an urban serving university campus. And so that means that we're really connected to the community. We have lots of community engagements. Our faculty do research, but when they do research, they do so-called youth-inspired and community-engaged research. And
so things that connect with the community and they're applicable.
Yeah. And guess what? The veteran community is part of our community.
And there's this whole sea of goodwill and support for the military and veterans, because so many separate here from JBLM.
Yeah, we're only 9 miles as the crow flies from JBLM.
The most popular base for military people to separate from, so, and a lot of them stay here.
Yeah, there are thousands every year that separate from the military at Joint Base Lewis McChord. And so we are there for them to, if they are interested in pursuing higher education, we are there for them. And, we feel that having a big diversity of types of people on the campus is critical to the educational experience.
To reflect
and that
the population,
includes veterans bring, some of those characteristics that I described to you are great characteristics for students to pick up on.
Right. Good inspiration. Now, entrepreneurship, you've got the vibe here. That's one sort of node for building entrepreneurs and providing service. But I understand UW Tacoma is expanding on that.
Vibe is one component of our strategy around entrepreneurship. And just as we are growing our campus, we have an ambition to grow to serve 10,000 students. We are growing these programs such as how we support entrepreneurship in Tacoma and the South Sound. So, for example, we've got a working group that includes faculty and administrators who are looking at what are we doing now, what could we be doing, what's going on in the community.
Around entrepreneurship.
Pulling it all together into a whole package of recommendations and services around entrepreneurship.
to provide more support and connect all those entrepreneurs and entrepreneur supports in the community.
Yeah, and that community connection is a really important part of that.
Yeah, that's really exciting. And Thomas, of course, is part of that.
Thomas is part of that. Another person who's a guest on this show, or a presenter on this show, Andrew Fry, he's a part of that. Jill Purdy, who's one of the founding faculty members of the Milgard School of Business, is part of that. Althoff Merchant, who's the dean of the Milgard School, is part of that.
So great wealth of institutional knowledge and entrepreneurship knowledge that's already connected and applied in the communities. Andrew, people may not know, they see him on the show, they may not know he also works at UW-Tacoma.
Yeah, he does.
So
and Mike Wark, you used to work at UW-Tacoma
20
too.
years, yeah.
In fact, you were there at the founding of the Vibe.
Indeed, yeah, I was very closely involved with that. So it's great to see it blooming and growing and continuing to really connect in the community, and see UW-Tacoma expanding that entrepreneurship connection, which is so critical for creating great guests for Business Matters. So it all comes around.
Yes, well, it's a pleasure to be on the show.
Well, it's great to have you, John. Thanks for being with us today and to share about Vibe.
Thank you.
Up next, Andrew Fry helps you launch into your own business. He'll explain.